Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Late with Dougie show. I am your host, Dougie Almeida, coming to you from Simpsonville, South Carolina. That's right, the metropolis of the South, as they call it. I don't know. Anyway, we apologize. Our good friend Sean Jones was supposed to be on our programming, but technical difficulties, bad iPods, bad internet. We don't know what happened, but Sean will not be joining us today, and we apologize for that. But nevertheless, it was packed, and the gods are just, I had two great comics on. I thought, oh my God, what a show! But that's the way it works. Now we got one other great comic joining us. Mr. Joe Matarese is with us today. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, how are you? Oh, I'm on.
All right.
Whoa, hey, how are you, Dougie?
Yeah, it's like, you hear me all right? Everything's cool.
You showed your age right at the top of your podcast, calling them what did you call them? AirPods? Or
AirPods?
you
Yeah.
call them AirBuds, or you call them something that was wrong. That sounds like something I would say to my son. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
what
mean,
you call them, but
who the hell knows? I mean, what's the
yeah.
difference? I
I
mean,
get them
all I
mixed up.
know is,
AirPods, earpods, holy shit.
wasn't the iPod the thing that you used to listen to music to? Now it's just your phone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The iPod was the greatest thing. You're like, how can I? You used to walk around with a Walkman with all the damn cassettes. Now you had this little thing. Oh my God, I got millions of songs on this little credit card thing.
Yeah, it
And
wasn't that was a good one. Only the comedian Bill Burr could find a way to shit on it. But he did, and it was hilarious. Only Bill Burr could go the complete opposite way and say that Steve Jobs is an idiot.
yeah, who could? Uh, well, let's. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the passing of Bob Saget recently, which was horrible. I just had a friend of mine message me like, I've heard mixed stories about the guy. I go, I haven't. I only heard good stories about the guy. I've never met him, and I couldn't post anything on Facebook other than a photo with him and stuff. But did you ever meet Bob Saget?
Yeah, I met him once about 20 years ago for like a very quick moment, and I posted this online, and only people in on the internet could find a way to like slam you for eulogizing somebody, like only only on, because my story was basically that Bob Saget complimented me when I came off stage, and it really meant a lot. And I said, basically like it was at a time where I needed to hear that because I was just having a shit time in LA at the time. And I mean, if I said it now, it would sound like I was bragging, because it was one of those typical show business where it's like you're skyrocketing and then you just fall off a cliff. And that's what happened. And then I was like, all right, and then I had a rare good set at the Improv in LA, which was like a place I would bomb at all the time. It was a really hard comedy club, I thought, back then, 20 years ago, because it would always be dead. It would just be dead. And he came up to me and he goes, hey man, funny stuff. And just that moment of hearing somebody really famous, those are what keep you in the game long, and you're like, oh,
Absolutely.
okay, I'm not an asshole for doing this with my life.
Yeah.
But Bob Saget likes it. Okay, all right, this is good. Okay, so it was a brief moment, and I didn't realize until he passed away that this was something he did a lot, which is be really nice to younger comics. And he was just one of those guys, and there aren't a lot of those guys, as you know, as a stand-up comedian. How many guys give you compliments? It's
It,
just rare.
it's definitely, I had, when Norm Macdonald passed, I had a similar story, but I was new in the business. I was doing an open mic or something at the old Hard Rock Improv in Fort Lauderdale. And he was there because he was, it was an open mic during the week, and he was there because he was headlining. And I walked off the stage, and I walked to the back, and he walks up and, hey, you're a pretty funny guy. Eh? You're a pretty funny comic. Eh? And I thought, and I posted that, and I'm like, of course, there's some people that are haters that are like, oh, you're just trying to, brag about your set. And I'm like, no, I was doing an open
Yeah,
mic bit, you asshole. And to have somebody like him, who was, to me, was like a, I love Norm Macdonald. I was like, to have him say that, it was,
right,
it's like, holy shit. But you do
right,
watch some people. You watch some people post, and they're like, "Oh, Bob Saget." And then they'll go through this whole diatribe of how they worked all these clubs because of him, and they got into this, and they did that, and then because of this, and they did. I said, "Listen, just send us your resume, dude. Just say, hey, Like, I appreciated the guy because he noticed me and he thought he was great. In the fucking post.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, that's
it's
all I
amazing.
did, and someone did write on the post saying you don't wanna brag about yourself when you're eulogizing somebody, and I was just like, "Oh," and then it was the guy was out of line because like, 10 people below him in the comment chain were slamming that person, like, "No, no," and it's like, I wish I coulda told the people that were standing up for me, "These guys are barely real people, like, I have this happen all the time, you don't even bother
Yeah.
acknowledging them at all. I don't acknowledge them, so please, you don't either." You know, like, please, that's all they want. So, yeah, he
It's always
was
amazing to
a
me when
nice guy.
it's amazing to me when people on Facebook or social media will post something and then you go to their page, you go to like their Twitter feed and they got like 10 followers. Their
Yeah.
Facebook page, you know, and they got like
Well,
four
it's usually
friends.
it took me a while to realize that those are because they create fake accounts so they can shit on things on the internet. So that's
Yeah.
why there's no follows or likes or whatever on the page. That's what they use it for, you know. Um, and yeah, ugly world, ugly
That's
world. So
amazing.
that's another reason why someone like Bob Saget stands out because it's an ugly world, and you hear nothing but so much nice stuff is coming out there about the guy, and there's not a lot of guys like that anymore that are just like overly kind.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's what I'm saying. A lot of the stories that have come out, comic JB Ball out of Tampa, very funny comic. It was basically saying,
Mhm,
the guy saw him and he knew all his jokes and he knew about, did his research on him and actually helped him get into Just for Laughs, New Faces and shit. Um, I just always think that's like I don't know. I mean, I'm not a well-known comic or anything like that, but like when especially here in my hometown of Simpsonville and Greenville area, it's a young comedy scene. Like last night, I was at an open mic, and some comic was did a joke and stuff like that. And I'm sure you do this. I mean, you don't want to give people tags and stuff, or but if you're at an open mic, you would think, hey, I take, especially in that scene, I take the role of a veteran comic because they're all new.
mhm,
I feel like, hey, if
mhm.
I hear something, I think something, I'm going to share it, and
Right.
you do that. And I always think about that. Like Sam Morrell gave me a great, to this day, he gave me my punchline on one of my jokes that just punched it up. And I'm like,
Mhm.
who does that? Yeah, it's nice. I wasn't, oh, don't tell me how to fucking do comedy. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
anything.
Right.
Why wouldn't you take any advice? You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's crazy. Hey, speaking of
Yeah.
comics and what we say and all kinds of stuff, we talked about this on our show last week, but I don't know if you caught the story about Patton Oswalt apologizing for taking a photo with Dave Chappelle and being on a show with them, which I thought was interesting. I mean, you and I just barely met. We're going to be doing shows in Florida. I got you coming down to Florida to do some shows. You're doing the Comedy Inn. You're doing Tavolino's. Hopefully, COVID doesn't cancel all our shit. Isla Morada. We're doing a bunch of stuff, but
Mhm.
you kind of come off as to someone to me that you say what you want. You don't really give a shit about the repercussions because that's kind of how I am. I say what I want to say, and if somebody doesn't like it, I apologize. I never meant to harm anybody, but I'm not going to sit there and mince words or I don't know. I mean, you seem like kind of person that just says what you want and deals with the fallout after.
Yeah, I mean, to 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 a negative, I mean, sometimes, I probably wish I didn't do that, there's lots of times, even one of my things is I always and I guess it's because I don't know if it's because 'cause I'm good at it or it's just that it's not an act, is when you make fun of the surroundings a little bit when you go on stage, and, I was actually gonna talk about it on my podcast this week, and I just remembered that it's because I have a voicemail on my podcast where people can leave questions or whatever, and I'll throw them up there and answer them, and one of my fans who's been listening to my podcast for a long time said that he thinks it's unprofessional and it makes you look amateur. And I I kind of disagreed with that. Where to me, I hate when guys. I used to call it planned crowd work. Guys that pretend shit's happening that isn't, and they do it
Right.
every time. That's when you're the worst comedian. I hate that. You're like, oh my God, he does it again and again and again. He pretends there's a guy in a shirt and and he pretends there's an old lady over here. Um, so yeah, so I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. If it's funny, it's funny. I don't know if he just he thinks
Well, I
it's
think.
like I.
Well,
Go ahead.
so in other words, you're saying basically like I recently was at a show somewhere. It was a open mic, and and something happened, and I go, boy, this old guy was sitting up front. I called him the Gollum of Greenville. Some old guy was just mumbling and shit in the front of the open mic, and they escorted him out. I'm like, well, that's can't be a good thing when you get kicked out of this place. You know what I mean? Like, because you don't want to you want to rag on the venue, but sometimes when it's funny and it's in the moment, you got to say what the fuck you got to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just
But
comes out like, but I would get in trouble for it for years. There's been so many different times. And I think even when podcasting started, you sometimes get so comfortable when you're shooting the shit with comedians on podcasts that you just say shit. And the next thing you know, this you said something about a club, you didn't even realize you said it, and they don't give you work anymore. I've had that happen a couple of times, and I'm just like,
yeah,
fucking burn a bridge on a podcast that nobody was. I'm like, how did you even hear it? Nobody's listening to that. And now I can't, like, Laugh Boston is a club that I'm never allowed to work again because I said something on my podcast about, like, the way the room was structured and like the beams in the or something. So I don't even remember what it was. And it was one of those, it's like, I wanted to tell the booker, I'm just trying to be funny on stage.
yeah,
Do you think there's any club in the country I don't want to go work to? And like yours that was an A-list club. It was a great comedy club
yeah.
in a really nice hotel in Boston, which is one of my favorite comedy cities of all time, Boston, Massachusetts. And I can't fucking do it anymore because I said
Yeah.
something
Well,
off the cuff.
I just want to let people know for the record. I love those columns at Laugh Boston. By the way, I just you know, I
I
think the
thought you were
same thing
gonna say
happened. I think the same
I thought
thing
you were gonna
happened to
say
me.
something about the gigs we got coming up that you were gonna
Oh
say,
no,
just
no.
please don't make dude in Alameda, don't make fun of them, man. They don't like that. Don't make fun of the backdrop.
Well, I've known some places that got mad. I've been at shows where the comic ragged on the venue, and they didn't let the comic come back the next night.
Yeah.
One of my venues, very well known comic made fun of it because it was in it was like in a little box theater. We used to do the shows for Club Bremen. Where you doing? But they used to have like a built out room at with the radio station itself, where when they have a
Mhm.
band they'd play, and the comic was like, all you got to do is buy $100,000 car, $150,000 car from Bremen to come watch a show in a garage and shit. And of course the venue is like, don't bring that guy back. But I think that happened to me. I think that may have happened to me with a club where I made fun of the comedy condo because the condo is
Sure.
a piece. It's literally the worst fucking condo I've ever stayed at. And my other
Right.
buddy jokes about it. He's like, when I think condo, I think there's a patio, there's a golf course view. You know, there's no fucking view. It's crazy when that would happen, right?
You, you know what it just made me think of? I don't know if you saw the movie King Richard with Will Smith, where he plays the Serena girl's father.
Hmm.
And did you see the movie?
Oh yeah, no.
So because this it just made me think of this what we're talking about. In the movie, he's trying to get his daughters to a really big manager, right? He's been training them up until they're 12, and now they're trying to get somebody really big to be their coach. And then this huge famous tennis coach signs them to play tennis at his camp and work with them exclusively. And he's given Will Smith, the dad, the contract that he's going to have to sign, and that this guy's going to get 50% of everything the Serena sisters make from there on out. And as he's handing them the contract, he goes, "Here's my contract." And they're like, he's like, "What?" He's like, okay, this is what you want. This is what I want. You have to pay for my whole family to move to Florida because we come as a family. You have to give me a job in your facility that pays this much. And the guy couldn't even believe it. So it made me think of because you get these riders or whatever, or things. Certain usually the corporate gigs, not the corporate gigs, like the big entities, sometimes with casinos or whatever, or a cruise line of some sort. Don't say this, don't say that. You're not allowed to do this. You
Right.
got to wear this. It would be funny if you had a contract that said you got to rebook me no matter how much I shit on your place. Because it's like you want to tell them, I'm doing it to be funny. I'm not doing it to be mean.
Yeah.
Comedy is mean sometimes, and it's like that happened in comedy. You'd make fun of a fat girl now and the crowd will be like, oh, and it's like, no, I'm trying to be funny right now. Don't, oh, what is the problem? Like, come on, they're words, let them fly. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It is weird, right? When you just can't say what you want to say.
Yeah.
Well, getting into
I'm
that,
gonna
one of
have
the
a
topics I wanted.
contract now.
Yeah. By
Go
the way,
ahead.
did you get the contract I sent you for the podcast? You're not supposed to make fun of my hat. um, do you have any like it was funny. I was watching you on Facebook Live and stuff like that, and you're talking about things, being in a hotel. Like it was like you mentioned, like I'm married, so when I'm home, when
Uh-huh.
I'm in a hotel by myself, it's fucking great. I'm like, I could
That's
do whatever
great,
I want.
right?
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
could turn the channel. I could take a shot. No one's telling me to get ready. So I love it. But do you have like any like day of show rituals? There's things you got to do or not do. There's things that just have to be a certain way on your day of a show.
Well, it's fun. That's a good question. It's funny that you say that because sometimes you ever forget to do one of your rituals and you're like, fuck, and then you don't have a good set. Like, one thing that will help me usually have a good set, even if I know my set and I work the club, 3 nights in a row, is I like to write down a little set list. So it just locks it in my brain. I just write it from beginning to end.
Yeah,
I'm never usually up there just on shuffle and the jokes are just coming into, like, there's an order. And if I have the order and I wrote it down, that works. Let me think if there's any other rituals. I could think of clothes, like what not to wear.
yeah,
Like, I try not to wear baseball hats on stage because it like hides your whole face
right, right.
in shadow. Like, if you're gonna wear it, you got to wear it backwards, or you got to wear it like really stupid looking up. Uh,
Like
I've
I
had
won't eat
rituals
before
that
a
I've gotten
show.
rid of.
I won't eat
Yeah,
before a show.
I've a lot of comedians won't eat before they go on, but I'm not one of those guys. It's that Italian. What do they call it? I'm a gavone, right? Like, I gotta go. I gotta eat. I'd rather eat than go on stage starving. Like, that would be bad too. So, like, I'll eat like just like an appetizer and then go on. I won't eat it. I can
Yeah,
never eat a steak dinner and then go do comedy.
yeah.
That would just be impossible.
Like a big fucking plate of like Alfredo, fettuccine Alfredo.
Yeah, you
You
couldn't
know,
do that.
no. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's certain things. I do the same thing with an outline, even though I know I'm going to do it. It's for some reason, if I don't do it, I feel like I'm going to forget something. And meanwhile, I've done the
And I
set.
put it in my pocket. I always have it in my pocket.
Yeah.
You don't?
I do that when I have to if I MC or something I'm never going to fuck up somebody's name again. I opened for Rob Schneider one time and I introduced his opening act as Benjamin Franklin when his name was Monty Franklin or something like Franklin, but and the guy goes up, he's like, "Yeah, everybody, I'm fucking Benjamin Franklin." Um, so ever since then, I always I'll bring the paper up there as much as I don't want to do it. Um, talking about shows and clubs, somebody asked me who's not a comic, they said, tell me about the green rooms. And I'm like, and I think because they saw some posts on Facebook, uh, um, like we were talking about comedy condos, there's good ones and there's horrible ones, right? Um, is there some memorable green rooms? Like, would you have like green rooms in your mind that some of your favorite green rooms? And then with that said, what must a green room have?
Well, this is good because I'll keep it vague, and I don't want to get fired from more
Yeah,
comedy
we don't want
clubs
you to
on
get
your
less
podcast.
work.
uh, Geez. I mean, well, the worst, is when there isn't a green room. Like,
Right.
and you got to. There used to be this club I can shit on it because I think it went out of business. Joey's in Livonia, Michigan. There's a there's a clip of me that the clip that has the most downloads in my entire career is a clip that I put up like 13 years ago, and it's still up. It's me getting heckled by everyone in the audience, and I'm shitting on every single person one by one. And I think it has like 5 million views or something on YouTube. But that place, they didn't have a green room. You'd had to sit in the back and watch every show, all the comedians. It was like the worst. I'm like, come on, like I don't know. Comedians weren't. I don't like that. I'll go sit in my
Yeah.
car alone before I'm going to do that. I'm like, I can't be sitting next to the other two comics and sitting here. Maybe one of the shows, but I got to watch. Like we got 3 shows in a night, and we're all
Yeah.
just sitting in there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I like to watch the show at least once, right, to know what the comics are doing, or maybe what the crowd's reacting or not reacting to. But yeah, that's what I love about a green room is just being. That's why I love clubs, like clubs. I love doing gigs where the gig is where you're staying, right, like a casino gig, because you just have to walk
Yes.
downstairs or whatever it is. Those are the best. Um,
Yes.
but green rooms like the Laugh Factory in Vegas, it's a great green room. They got liquor, they got drinks, they got candy, they got all kinds of stuff in there. But
I've
you're right,
never
it does
done
suck
that
when
one.
no, well, I don't know if I'm going back,
Mm-mm.
but I'm trying to praise the green room. But
Is it
but that kind
Jamie
of stuff.
Masada who books it?
Harry
The owner?
Basil, Harry Basil books Vegas and Reno, and
I don't know him.
yeah. But you're right. It does suck when you go somewhere or they send you to a green room where it looks like a closet with a chair in it, and they expect you to sit in there when you fucking you feel like you're in a prisoner of war. Those are the worst. Well,
I
we have limit.
th- th-
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that this could be like advice to younger comics out there because it took me a long time in the comedy business to realize you don't have to accept like everything that's getting thrown at you for like a shitty gig. Like you can go spend your own money and like make it a better gig. Like, and I started doing that later in my career. I used to always just take the shit at the like sometimes really bad hotel. And now with the internet and everything that you can do research, you can get deals on hotels. And I just say to them now, just give me the money that you know and if like you said a comedy condo, like I won't even go stay in a comedy condo unless someone told me this place has the best comedy condo and it's just yours. Like I just started and you can I was always jealous of this comedian Todd Glass. I said to him, "How do you get away with not having them think you're an asshole?" Cuz he'll go in and he'll redecorate. Dude, the guy, and he does it in a way that they don't mind. He starts putting plastic things over all the sconces in the room and changes the lighting inside the room. I'm like, dude, you just made the club look 1,000 times better. He's like, yeah, I bring these little things. I put them over all the sconces. I'm like, he put a curtain in the green room so you couldn't see like all these exposed ugly pipes. He went and spent his own money because he knew it made him feel better. And I was like, that's kind of like what I do at a hotel. If I put myself in a nicer hotel for $50 or $75 more, I'm in an amazing mood now. Because when I'm in a bad mood, that assholeness, that's why I used to get in trouble. My
Comes out.
asshole
Yeah.
would come out and it would kill on I said it on stage the other night. I go, I'm killing on stage, and I go, yeah, but they canceled my hotel reservation, But like, so it's so weird because you thought being funny was all that matters, but it really doesn't. It is a comedy business, and it's just
I,
like every other business.
I did see that on your Facebook Live, and you're right. I mean, I've done that in the past where I'm like, look, just pay me. How much is your hotel cost? Just add it to my, because I do the same thing. I
Mhm.
got points. I got, yeah, I'm a comic, but I'm also a licensed fiduciary of 32 years. I manage money.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
1,000 shares of Amazon, so I'm not going to
right.
fucking sit there and stay at some shitbox hotel,
Yeah, and it's not
and
like you're putting me up somewhere nice and I'm saying, "No, I need the Ritz-Carlton." No, this is like, I'm not staying at the Motel 6 in that scary neighborhood. Like, I'm gonna
right.
stay here, and I wanna walk to your club. I don't wanna have to drive 25 minutes each night to the shows.
Yeah, no, that's the worst.
Some of these clubs treat you like complete animals. It's just kind of the way it was, or I don't know if it's really that way anymore.
Sometimes it's bad when the headliner's staying at a really nice hotel and you're staying at the Days Inn, like 20 miles away. It's like I can get that. Hey, speaking of being on the road, any crazy stories about an opening act or sharing a green room with somebody? Like I was talking to somebody and they were telling me how the comic that they were working. I couldn't believe this. They were telling me the comic they were working with actually started using not stealing jokes, but using premises all of a sudden,
Mhm.
after the first night, the comic was telling me the next night, the opening act was doing jokes like I'm doing. They started telling the same type of jokes with different endings. And I had to tell the guy, like, dude, do your fucking I don't want you to do all this shit before I go up. you know? And I'm like,
Right.
I was like, I'm being amazed by that story. I'm like, why would somebody even do that? You got any
It
stories
happens
of
a
crazy
lot.
openers or some shit like that?
Oh God. I mean, that happens a lot, to the point where it used to be like you could tell guys who open for the same comedian over and over and over again, they would start to sound like the guy that they opened for. And I was just like, that would annoy me, because I remember having that happen a couple of times. I would bring a comic with me. By Saturday night, I'm like, "You're standing like me on stage." I didn't even realize I like a stance. I don't have anymore, but I used to have my legs really like spread, and I would just be like this with my legs spread for the whole act. And I'm like, all of a sudden you're doing it. Then you're doing my ad lib. Did, like I said, make I one of the reasons why I wouldn't make fun of just the club at the beginning. I would give my observations on the town, what I've and like I think people appreciate to hear, because to me that's what good comedy is. We want to hear what you think, what you see. Like
Right.
what does a guy from where you grew up think about our place, and what did you observe? And and it's easy to get laughs because everybody has it in common. So, yeah, the opener starts doing, I mean, like, you just did the same exact one. How do you think that's okay? I said that last night. Like, I said that exactly last night. Not that I'm gonna end the night, but, like, you just said exactly what I did last night. It's
And that
hilarious. They don't
I
know.
could
They think they're giving you a compliment.
Yeah, I could see that happening because a good friend of mine, Jim Florentine, I work with him a lot and open with him, and we have similar words. So I noticed some of his cadences. Like all of
Oh,
a sudden
yeah.
I'm talking like this. Hey, everybody, what are you, a rookie?
Yeah.
You know,
Looking
and you start
beautiful.
you're beautiful. I called the radio station one time as his
Why?
son when he was there. I'm like, hey, Dad, how's it going? I'm being homeschooled right now with that hot chick. The teacher that wears the sweaters. Um,
Yeah,
it's
there's
fucking
certain
great.
comedians that do have a strong cadence. Like Mitch Hedberg was one, or Brian Regan. Like, if you were on the same show as them and you'd watch it every night, that's why it's good for young comics. Sometimes you shouldn't go watch. Don't If you're
Yeah,
opening for me, don't go watch me every show and then start sounding like me. Like, just don't watch me, and then you won't have. Be you. Like, you
yeah.
be you, I'll be me. Um, there's
Okay,
something else. What
okay.
what was the other part of the question you asked?
Just I mean, anything ever happen with like odd, like working with somebody, they do something fucked up or stupid or something like
Oh,
that.
you mentioned, like, condos, and I got one. This one's I haven't told this story in a long time, see if I can remember it. But, and I won't I can't say who the comedian's name was, and this is gonna make me sound really homophobic. You could tell, like, this was a story 20 years ago, you could tell without even worrying about it. Now, I gotta think of the nicer version of the story, but
Yeah.
basically, I'm going to this gig in Long Island. I think it was like the Treehouse. They're not even there anymore. No, wrong, because the tree houses were in Connecticut. This was something in Long Island, and we I it was just like a long commute. There was like a snowstorm. I had to go with the other comic, and I'm quiet off stage. I'm not Johnny Party off stage, and this guy was one of those really on comedians, right? So we had to take the train to this gig together, and the train was so crowded, there were no seats. I'm like sitting on the floor. He's like standing and he's just holding court on the train. Like it's like he was just doing comedy, right? To the point where people are, and he's saying, "Oh, that's the other comedian." I'm just sitting there like,
Oh no.
I'm not doing a fucking comedy act on the train. The last thing I want to do is entertain everybody on this train ride. And they're all like, "You don't seem funny," right? So I'm just going, "Oh my God, this guy's a nightmare." And I'm going, I can't wait to get to the hotel and away from this fucking guy. It's all I'm thinking, right? I swear to God, we start walking towards the hotel after we get out of the train station. And he goes, "We have to share a room." And I went, "No." I thought he was fucking with me. He goes, "No, no, no. We have to share a hotel." Never in my career, like you think sharing a condo is weird. Share the whole room. 2 beds in one room. You're sharing it with this dude that you just met. I'm like, oh my God, right? And he's effeminate. He's gay. I think he was gay, right? He's a gay man. I could say that without sounding homophobic. He's a gay man.
They
And
exist.
we're sharing a room, and he's like very like God, he's just like I don't even know if it was like he was hitting on me, but he was just he goes to bed. Never forget it. He goes, "I sleep in the nude. Do you?" And I go, "Definitely not when I'm sharing a room with another guy." I go, I go, "Maybe I have if I was like gonna get laid, maybe, but like tonight, it's no. I'm definitely not sleeping naked." And he's like, "Oh well, I sleep in the nude." And he like got under the covers and like took his clothes off and like threw them over. And I'm going, "You gotta be fucking kidding me! This is a nightmare, right?" And I'll never forget it. The next morning, he wakes up and he goes, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Did you see me in the middle of the night?" He goes, "I had a stiffy." That's what he said. "I had a stiffy." I was like, "Oh my God, what is happening?" And then to make it even worse, dude, this is something Florentine would enjoy. He'd be like, "Oh, it's fucking brutal," So on top of it, this is the luck of me. I think I hook up with a girl that night, and I can't bring her back to the hotel because I got this guy, and it's like what we talked about earlier. All I would have had to do, why didn't I just buy? Why was I afraid?
Yeah.
Like to get laid, get another fucking room, like
Yeah.
whatever it costs. I should have done it instead because I'm too cheap. I'm sitting in here with this other comedian who's hitting on me, dressing nude. I'm like, what the fuck, you know?
I don't know if
Nowadays, you could probably have like a sexual harassment charges. I could have filed something
you
against them.
you could have. Next thing you know, the guy's like, "I don't. Do you sleep? I like to prance around naked before I go to bed." All right, dude, calm the fuck down. Um, well, we only got a few minutes left.
So,
We got a short abbreviated show today because we waited
I
forever
know.
to get online. Unfortunately, but I don't know if I even want to get into fuck the stories.
Well,
You
you
know,
can if you want. Go ahead. Bring a couple news stories up.
all right. I'll just here's the thing. We're comics, so if you hear the headline, if you get inspired to tell a joke or think of a funny line, then fucking use it. This is a bit of a writers' meeting, okay, Joe?
Okay.
Here's the headline. I was bad wrong. Tennessee state lawmaker apologizes for trying to pants referee at a basketball game.
What?
When you go up
Pants.
somebody and pull their pants down.
Yeah, you
When
pull their pants down.
I was in college, I was in the library with our soccer teams. I played soccer in college. We had study sessions, and one of my buddies came up to me and I was talking to this chick and just pants me, pulled my pants down. I had no fucking underwear on, and unfortunately, it wasn't one of those moments where I was hanging. You know what I mean? It was more like like everything
Like you
was,
just get out.
you know, yeah, like I
You
just got
just
out of
get
the
out of
water
the
and shit.
ocean.
Oh, and the fucking girl never talked to me again. The worst.
I'm wondering where you pulled this story. Put the story back up on the screen.
Can he do it?
Because it says, "I was bad wrong." Like who speaks like that? I was bad wrong. He's
Well,
what
somebody who
Tennessee state
pantses people.
lawmaker? I was bad wrong.
Bad.
What
I was bad wrong
newspaper
to
is
the
that?
bone.
That's a headline. Yo, I was
That's the
bad wrong is the headline.
That's a USA Today, Nashville. A top Tennessee state representative yelled at a game official and attempted to pull his pants down during the high school game. And oddly enough, they shared the same hotel room that night, and they both slept naked. Representative Jeremy Faison acknowledged he was bad wrong. I mean, in sports, we just say "my bad." You know, if you're on a team, "my bad," "sorry, my bad." You know,
Yeah, that's different. But you don't
that
go,
is
"Yo, I
different.
was bad. Yo, I was bad wrong."
Okay,
Feels
Michael
like a
Jackson.
typo in the headline.
Yeah,
Typo in the headline.
yeah. Poor guy. Our next story: mystery hut spotted in China's U2 moon rover gets an explanation. Yeah, that doesn't look like a fucking hut. That looks like a rock. I'm just amazed when people see shit that it's never there, and they have a story about this. But you know, I don't know. I
So
guess
what's your
all
joke
rocks
on
look the
that one?
same. I don't know. Asian people look alike. All rocks look alike. All rocks look like huts. Here's the next story. Woman who earned $200,000 selling farts in her jars is hospitalized for her work. And there's people out there that are complaining that they can't make a living.
Well, that jar was beautiful though. Like she like jazzed up the bottled fart and put some like lights in there.
Well, Joe. Listen, if you're going to sell farts, you have to
You got
accessorize.
to jazz them up. You
You
definitely
got,
have to jazz them up.
yeah, you got to put some like
Wow.
petals in there, rose petals and shit. But I
Wow.
guess she had something go wrong. Yeah, she farts in a jar. Who gives a fuck what happens to somebody who farts in a jar? Um, I mean, that person should go to hell. I mean, I love entrepreneurs. I love people that that aren't sucking on the tit of welfare. You know what I mean? So if you're making money selling farts, God bless you, I guess. Um, Now, I don't know if you're a Taylor Swift fan. I don't think you listen to Taylor Swift, Joe. I'm going to guess you're not a big Taylor
No,
Swift fan or pop type fan.
no.
But
My
this was
wife
good
and
news.
daughter love Taylor Swift.
Oh, do they? Well, let your wife and daughter
Oh,
know
they
that
love
an
it.
album made entirely of endangered bird sounds beat her album in the top 50. I mean, how would you feel if your comedy album came in second place?
That's like
To
what's basically like being on America's Got Talent. You lose to like a guy who juggles birds or something. That's just what it is.
guy who juggles birds. I
Yeah,
can't.
juggles fucking singing birds.
I throw them up; they never come down. Oh, fucking yeah! Poor that Tom Cotter who lost to the dogs. Remember that? Oh my god.
Yes, yes.
Oh god. Well, good. Fuck Taylor
All
Swift.
right.
Meet Japan. Meet Japan's very busy do nothing rent a man. Again, here's a guy who's been told all his life he's useless, and he said, "You know what? I'm going to continue doing that." And he gets hired to have people come and just sit there and eat with him. He won't say anything. He doesn't talk. He's just company. He'll show up. He might be good for open mic comics. Hey, I need you to show up. I got a bringer show. Just come. I need you to come and sit there and
Rent
act
a
like you're
man?
laughing. Yeah, the guy comes over and does nothing. He's just, women love it because he
He's
doesn't
just
come over
there.
and hit on them. He doesn't come and hit on them and try to get laid. He just sits there and, does nothing.
How much?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure they don't
Rent
have
a
like,
man.
I'm sure they don't have like a way of like, I thought you were horrible. Why? Well, you did something. So I need somebody to do nothing. Okay. Don't sit there and do something. I can't hire a guy who does something. Ugh.
Yeah.
This is great. I
You
love.
can't put him to work. He won't clean anything or
No,
wax your
I mean
car,
that's.
nothing.
I'm telling you, that's perfect for me. If I come over to the house, I'm not going to help with the yard work. They used to happen when I met my wife. When I go to her house, everybody in the family was doing shit all the time. I'd be sitting on the couch, like
Mhm.
what is this white guy, American guy doing? Nothing. Okay. If I wanted to do something, I'd go home. I'm not going to come here and start helping because they would do shit. They're always working on shit around the house. I'm like, what the fuck? Look like a handyman. High school girls basketball coach suspended after team defeats opponent 92-4. Yeah. Turns out that the girls basketball team was full with guys who that are transgender women. The girls, the 13-year-old girls are playing against a bunch of guys that are 33 years old and former Olympians. And our last show, probably might be after this show. Yeah, I think that's it. That's it for the stories. We got out of that one.
Oh, good. I hate news stories. It's funny that I did Chelsea Lately show for like a year and a half. Once a month I did it. And they'd give you the news stories about 2 hours after you landed in LA. Like you land, you get the news stories, and you got to go on the air. Like you had two hours max to write like 7 jokes. And it's weird how you get good at it.
Yeah.
But I started out terrible at it, and I was horrendous at what you just had me do. I got nothing when you throw a news story at me. Nothing. It's literally like zero. Maybe it's easier when I do get them and they're written and you can look at them and you start figuring out where the joke is. But man, dude, when you just popped them on the screen.
Yeah, Joe, usually it is better when you actually do a little research and actually.
I did a little and I just get nothing. Yeah.
Wow.
No, I should have.
Well, what are you going to do?
Too busy with 2 kids.
This is a podcast that hopefully we haven't said anything that's going to keep us from getting booked anywhere or anything like that. But hey, we're excited because Joe Matarese is going to be coming to Florida in February, and we're looking forward to having you at the Tavolino's Wise Guys Comedy Show on Wednesday, February 16th. Bremen's Club Bremen show on the 17th, and in Island Morada at the Island Grill on the 20th, I think that is, or something like that. And of course,
Nice.
The Comedy Inn. Great. Have you ever been at the you ever perform at Comedy Inn?
Yeah, I've done it a bunch of times. I love that place.
Yeah, it's great.
It's the nicest shitty hotel in America.
Exactly. And he won't mind if you make fun of it.
He wouldn't care if I said that.
No,
but it is. It's like he made it nice. I'm like, this had all the makings of the worst hotel ever, and you made it good.
Because you just walk downstairs, do the show. And then it's a great business idea for the show because it's an open bar. People pay one price. They drink all night. And then, boom, there you go. And that's it.
Mike is so nice. He's let me come down there with my wife and kids and stay in the hotel for like a week for free. He's like, if you want to ever come down here, just let me know. And I'm like, I did it once. And we went down there and we stayed there for like 4 nights, I think. And the kids had a great time, man. They had a pool and they were in Florida. They were good.
That's it.
Love that place.
That's all the kids need.
Comedy Inn. Yeah, dude.
Mike's great though. He does that. He lets people stay. Like, hey, if you need a place to stay, it's good to have people like that, man. Comedy needs more people with money and ways and means to make our life easier.
He's like Bob Saget.
Yeah,
gives back to the comedy community.
Gives back to the comedy community.
Have vacations in his dad's hotel.
Yeah, meanwhile, his dad's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, you're killing the business.
No wonder we got to keep fucking money. But anyway, well, listen, I want to appreciate you joining us today on the podcast here on the Wake Up Late with Dougie Show, Joe. And anything you want to plug, anything else coming up where we can find you?
No, you could just joematarese.com. I got a bunch of gigs coming up. I'm not going to plug all my gigs. You just plug the gigs I'm doing with you. So gigs, and follow me on Instagram and TikTok, the Joe Matarese, and that's about it. My podcast, Pretender to Contender. It's every Tuesday.
Cool. Well, again, thanks for joining us today and having the ample equipment to get it through us. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it, buddy. And that's all we have time for, everybody. I don't know if we're going to have a show next week. I will be in Florida, so we probably will have a week off next week. But we'll be back every new time now on Wednesdays. We air here at 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel and, of course, our Facebook fan page. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Wake Up Dougie and on Instagram, Wake Up Late with Dougie Show. Follow me. You've seen it on the screen, anywhere you want. God bless everybody. Take care, and we'll see you here next time at the same spot.
I'm not psycho.